Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Our first story is by Love Chris. Short-staffed? No problem. I work for a visitor attraction in London. Generally, we are put on the floor answering questions, etc. We had a dedicated team that worked in the control room, usually supervisors or those that wanted to become supervisors. Normally 1 or 2 people in the control room. They were never ever on the floor if they could help it. They watched the CCTV and controlled the breaks, lunches, etc. For instance, if a visitor set off an alarm, they would call us and we would investigate the alarm. Management decided to pull the supervisors out onto the floor and train floor personnel to be in the control room. Good idea on paper, but in practice? Supervisors didn't want to go on the floor and those on the floor didn't want to go into the control room. Some of us already worked in the control room as we relieved them for breaks, lunches, etc. Basically, if you were in the control room, you stayed in there. First training week went something like this. Someone that knew the control room training 3 or 4 of the floor people. Needless to say, that put us short-staffed on the floor, and management had to go on the floor to cover. As, how hard could it be? It will only be a week, then I can go back to my cushy desk job. First day, I was training 3 or 4 floor staff, and management and supervisors were on the floor. Management told me treat them like normal floor staff. Okay, no problem. I asked everyone that I was training normal floor staff. We all got big smiles on our faces. Not even 10 minutes goes by and radio calls. Can one of you bring the keys for the front door so we can let the public in? It's a 5-minute walk from control to the front door. I radio one of the management on the floor. Come to control and pick up the keys and take to the front door. I get a phone call. Just have so-and-so bring them over. There's 4 of you in there. As per procedure, nobody is allowed out of the control room. Management takes 5 minutes to get to control, and then takes the keys over to the front door. So we are late opening. Next radio call. Which key is it? It's number XX. They open the doors. Alarm goes off. Control, why did alarm go off? You need to call control to let us know exactly when to take the alarm off. Procedure. All of this is written down. Procedures must be followed. Now that the public is in, alarms start going off for various reasons. The public loves going through doors that say, door is alarmed. Normal stuff. I start radio calls to management on the floor. Charlie 3, go to door X. Charlie 3, go to door X, etc., etc. Delta 4, relieve Charlie 3 for their lunch. Lunchtime. I get phone calls from people who haven't been relieved for their lunch on time. Management hasn't figured out that travel time between your post and the break area is not included in your lunch or break. If you have an hour lunch and it takes you 10 minutes walking time to get there, then basically your lunch is 40 minutes. 10 minutes to go from your post to break room, and 10 minutes to go back to post. Normal control room staff knew this and would start lunches early to give everyone as much as possible a full lunch. More radio calls. Charlie 3, can you check the toilet? Report of water on the floor. Charlie 3, can you go to X? Visitor wants to use a voucher. Actually, Charlie 3, go to door X. But I'm with a visitor. Doors take priority, Charlie 3. For the rest of the day, we ran management crazy. Everything in the procedures was adhered to. Count the empty spaces in the car park. Check locks on the emergency gates. Check toilets, men's and women's, to see if they need to be refilled with toilet paper. Look for lights out. Fill in your task book, etc. Next day, needless to say, I wasn't in the control room. Didn't matter. The tone was set. Didn't matter who was in there. The rest of the week went by the same. Everyone that followed me ran management nuts. Management, to their credit, changed some things after that. Black sneakers can now be worn. More break rooms closer to posts have been opened. Procedures have been loosened up. Control people are back in control, and floor people are on the floor. Everyone is now trained in the control room, but they only have to work it if they want. Still, was a glorious week. Gee, everything there sounds like absolute hell. I'm not sure what kind of attraction this is, given that it's answering questions and it's on the floor, but at the same time, 5-minute walk between everything, there must be a massive complex. So I guess that level of management and coordination is necessary, but I wouldn't like to do that. Our next story is, this is quite a gross one, but here we are. This one is by Dar White. Things we obeyed as children we can laugh at now. Sometimes as children we found ourselves in a bathroom crisis. This is my story of malicious compliance. When I was 6 years old, I was with my parents when they parked in front of a store. They told me they were only going to be in there for a few minutes, and they wanted me to wait in the car. They made it very clear that I was to wait for them to come out, and under no circumstances was I to leave the car and come into the store. So I waited in the car, as I was told to do. A few minutes later, I had to use the bathroom really bad. Really bad. I thought about going into the store, but I was worried about getting into trouble for leaving the car, so I contemplated what to do. Then I saw a brown paper Zeller's shopping bag on the floor. Hallelujah! I pulled down my drawers and deposited a huge Cleveland steamer right into the brown paper bag. Relief. But the satisfaction of relief quickly passed, as I realized that now I have another problem. What do I do with the bag of crap that is now in the car? I knew if my parents found out that I did that, I would be in trouble. So the solution my 6-year-old brain came up with was to slide the bag under the front seat to hide it. So that's what I did. Slid the bag with the fragrant log in it right under where my father would be sitting while he drove the car. A few minutes later, my parents returned, with me sitting innocently like a little angel in the back seat. My parents got into the car and told me they were proud of me for being a good little boy and doing as I was told. Dad settles into his seat, starts up the car, then starts sniffing. He sniffs some more and looks at my mother and says, "Carolyn, do you smell crap?" "Yes, Bobby, I do," she replied. "For the love of Christ, get him in the tub as soon as we get home," my father gasped. So we get home, and I am promptly put in the tub. The next day, we get into the car to go somewhere. My father just gets settled into his seat, then looks at my mother and says, "Jesus Christ, Carolyn, I thought you said you washed him yesterday." "Yes, I did, Bobby." "Well, you didn't do a very good bloody job then, because he bloody smells like a ripe bloody crap house in a goddamned heat wave." "Shut up, Bobby, I'll wash him again when we get back home." So we went about our business, as the smell in the car was intense and unbearable. We had all 4 windows down, but the July heat kept things good and pungent. We finally get back home after being accompanied by a constant chorus of foul language coming from my father. Back into the tub I go. My mother cleaned me extra good and really scrubbed my bum. I leave the tub clean as a whistle, not a hint or a mere sniff of a crap smell. Problem resolved. The next time we got in the car, we were going to pick my grandmother up to take her somewhere. My father settles into his seat, starts the car up. A few seconds later, he slams his fist down onto the dash, looks at my mother and roars, "I still smell crap! I still smell bloody crap!" "Bobby, calm down. I bloody told you I washed him. And I checked him before we got into the car, and he did not smell like crap. I smell crap too. Suffering Jesus. But I can bloody tell you it is not coming from him." "Then where's it coming from, Carolyn?" "I don't know, Bobby." We picked my grandmother up. The smell in the car is pure torture. I could tell my grandmother was really suffering as we marinated in the stench. But she did not want to be rude, so she suffered in silence with the rest of us. Finally, my father comes right onto the brakes, pulls the car over, breaks the uncomfortable silence and screams, "I can't take it anymore! There's crap somewhere in this goddamn bloody car. I bloody know it, and if I have to tear this goddamn bloody car completely apart to find it, that's what I'll goddamn do!" We all get out of the car, and he starts sniffing around. He noticed the smell was stronger closer to the floor. When I slid the bag of crap under the seat, I didn't roll up the end of the bag, so one end of the bag was open. My father is sniffing around and feeling around everywhere. He slides his hand under the seat on the passenger side and feels around. Nothing. He slides his hand under the seat on the driver's side and feels around. Something soft and squishy. As he was feeling around under the seat, he slid his hand right into the open side of the bag. Then an expression of pure panic comes across his face as he recoils his hand in horror. He leapt out of the car, stood on the side of the road with traffic driving by, looks at his hand right in front of his face, crap all over his fingers, and very loudly screams an expletive I don't want to include in this video. After a very sound yelling at, I did indeed survive and live to tell this bathroom emergency story and laugh about it years later. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was so disgusting, but it was also funny. How did they not think to check anywhere other than the kid after the first time? And also, just children, they will either completely ignore you, taking what you say as a joke, or completely adhere to every word you say, the best little malicious compliance gremlins you will ever find. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for watching. It was a bit of a crap video, but if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.